But first, I said last night the voice was dead. Australians in 5 weeks will vote a big no. Well, today I'm thinking that defeat will be even bigger because today was a complete shocker for the Yes campaign. A shocker by the Indigenous Australians Minister, a shocker by our arts organisations who are playing race politics, and especially a shocker by the chief architect of the voice design, Professor Marcia Langton, a real race baiter who revealed her true self today. Now, Langton knows the voice is now doomed and has thrown her toys out of the cot. And just as I predicted last night, she blamed racist and stupid Australians for saying no. Here is Langton, who co-authored the report that designed the voice and is on the referendum committee that the government appointed. Here she's getting nasty at a public meeting on Sunday.
Every time the no case raises one of their arguments, if you start pulling it apart, you get down to base racism. I'm sorry to say it, but that's where it lands. Or just sheer stupidity.
Now, Langton's apparently now backpedaling. Oh, I didn't mean most Australians are racist, but you heard what she said. And as I said last night, this poison, this racism smear is a stupid lie. I mean, you think about it. Last December, 2/3 of Australians were all for the voice. Now, when they've learned more about it, nearly 2/3 are against. Is that really because they suddenly became racist? Or did they simply wise up to what this voice really is or is not? Of course, Langton, a professor at Melbourne University, mind you, has a terrible record for calling people racist when she can't win an argument, which seems to be an awful lot of times because she's called so many people racist. People on the left, like Tim Flannery, Labor lawyer Josh Bornstein, people on the right, of course, John Howard, for instance, me and so many others. Which makes you wonder why the government picked her, this former Marxist, a hate preacher, as one of its gurus on reconciliation. It was always going to go wrong. And you've got to ask now too, is this the reconciliation that Prime Minister Anthony Albanese promised us when he started this disastrous crusade for a voice, an Aboriginal-only advisory parliament, in the Constitution? And even today, our hapless Indigenous Australians Minister, Linda Burney, didn't have the guts or decency to call Langton out. This is the most she could say when asked about Langton's vile abuse.
I call on everyone involved in this referendum to act respectfully and with care for their fellow Australians. We are a great country. Of course, there is no room for racism of any kind in this country. We are a diverse country, and that diversity is one of our greatest strengths. Whether your family arrived here 60,000 years ago, 6 years ago, we are all part of this country's story.
If you're saying that no matter when you arrived, why are they trying to divide us by race now? The Aborigines first and everyone else in a different position in the Constitution doesn't make sense. But this now is a moment of truth for the Albanese government. It cannot let this lie spread, that the defeat of the voice is because we are racist, because that's going to destroy any hope of reconciliation. That's going to put Australians at each other's throats. God forbid it could even lead to violence. I don't know. If you really do want to know why Australians are voting no, it was actually Linda Burney again who gave another example today. I mean, I tell you, hopeless. Background. I've pointed out something really weird about this voice that's going to be made up of 24 activists. Now, Langton, in her report, told the government the voice members should not be elected, not in a national vote of Aborigines anyway. She wants the Aboriginal aristocracy to keep control to go along with this process. So no one now knows how any of those 24 activists will be selected, not even Linda Burney.
Can the Minister confirm whether members of the voice would be elected or appointed?
It will represent local communities. It will be chosen by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people.
This lack of detail like that is killing the voice. And it's also, that particular point is why many Aborigines, the ones out the bush, the poorest, the ones we really want to help most, they are now saying no to this voice because it will not represent them. It will represent Aboriginal aristocrats like Langton and like Noel Pearson, which is something that even the ABC reported yesterday on Four Corners, to its rare credit. You just listen to this.
They're trying to put something on us and not telling us what it's going to be. And I will not support that. I will not support people that are living in Sydney to make decisions for me and my family.
So I would like to see more of people from our remote communities being, I suppose, involved in the hierarchy. But I still don't see that it's in what we see as a real voice to Parliament.
I've been directed by my direct elder to vote no.
Now, if they don't trust the voice, why should you? And it seems to me that the voice supporters now actually include two big groups and not outback Aborigines. One, a lot of people, urban activists especially, who think that the voice is going to bring them more power and more money, like reparations, and who wouldn't vote for more money. The other are rich urban whites who just want to make feel-good gestures without any care about whether they actually do any real good at all to the people who badly need it. And that brings me to the last example today in this shocking day for the Yes campaign. This report from the Australian newspaper that Aborigines are being offered ticket discounts of up to $170, new mob ticks concessions to go to the ballet or the opera, a classical concert maybe, a museum, an art gallery, and also to the sports. Now, isn't that just bloody marvellous? Isn't that going to fix what's really broken in some Aboriginal communities out in the outback, you know, the clan warfare, for instance? Is it going to fix the drinking maybe? Is it going to fix the terrible level of violence, including domestic violence and child abuse, or the lawlessness in some areas? And the unemployment in settlements miles from real jobs, miles from the Australian Opera for a start. Oh, I can see it now, eh? Buses being organised to take all the people from Wadair or Yuendamu or Hallscap, all these ballet lovers, all these people desperate for a bit of Italian opera. Off they go to maybe to see some Shakespeare. That's really going to help. That's going to be a real big help. As if. I mean, rich urban Aborigines might go. I mean, people who can exactly afford to pay full price like everyone. Professor Langton, fancy seeing you at the opera. Oh, yes, I got that discount from Mob Ticks. You know? Oh, Professor Bruce Pascoe, you're here too. Well, yes, you see, none of these arts types dare ask for proof whether I really am Aboriginal. I mean, seriously, it's this kind of racist giveaway that explains how Aboriginal activists now complain there are many white fakes pretending they're black, hogging the benefits. And after this, probably quite a few opera lovers will be there saying too, oh, I'm Aboriginal. I mean, seriously, this is a joke. This is a joke. And no wonder none of these arts groups would tell the Australian how these schemes were working, because I'd say there was bugger all demand. Now, if these people were serious, they'd do what Slim Dusty did years ago. At least take their acts to towns out back as well and make it easier to get to, easier for Aborigines. But these people, and if Marcia Langton is really after racists, pay attention, Marcia. I've found some for you. These people would be the real racists, because they aren't just offering cut-price tickets to Aborigines, but to anyone who's supposedly First Nations, New Zealand Maori, they've said, Pacific Islanders, American Indians, I guess, maybe the odd passing Eskimo. But not whites or Jews, no matter how poor. Not people like that. So how racist can you get? And this is exactly the kind of racial division that is turning Australians against the voice. I've seen a poll saying it's this racial division. It's the biggest reason of all for the no vote. When a rich Noel Pearson, one of the people pushing the voice, he can get discount tickets to the sports, but a poor white or a poor Asian can't, just because of their race. I mean, seriously. Or a Noel Pearson or Marcia Langton can get this voice in an advisory parliament just for Aborigines, written into the Constitution. To repeat, this voice is dead. And now voice campaigners like Langton are just going to tear the place down in their rage, blaming their failure on your racism rather than their own.